Welcome everyone to MyWolf Phase 1 launch training. I'm really excited to have you all here, and I want to be sensitive to your time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to quickly walk you through our agenda of what we're going to cover today. First, we'll talk about what is MyWolf. And Karen Freed is on the line with us, and she's actually going to share a little bit about what is MyWolf, as well as why we chose MyWolf. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's in it for you. We'll talk through that this is a 3-phase rollout and the timing of that. We'll actually get into the MyWolf app and walk through what the components of the first phase, which are recognition, feedback, and goals. We'll talk about when to use MyWolf, the resources and support that you have available to you, your role and immediate next steps, and then we'll also talk about what's going to come up next after this training. So just a few quick housekeeping items as we usually go through. Just a heads up that all of the phone lines are muted, so if you have a question, please feel free to chat away. This is going to take about an hour, and so probably just a little bit under that. So I would also ask that if you can, try not to multitask so we can make sure that you get all the information that you need. As I mentioned, the phones are muted, so please feel free to chat your questions as you have them. That way you don't forget. Karen is manning the chat section, and so she will answer those questions along the way. And then also at the end, we will open up for a Q&A, and she will probably recall some of the chat maybe that wasn't broadcast to all. She might recall some of those questions and share it with the greater group, what the question was and what the answer was. And then if there's something that we need to get back with you on, certainly we have a parking lot that we will put that in and make sure that we have a follow-up with you. And then also you will have access to a copy of this presentation and a recording of training all through Salesforce content. And that will be at the end of this week after the last training session, which is tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Karen to talk to you a little bit about what is MyWolf.
Thanks, Jen, and thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy day to come and learn about MyWolf. And so, as we've told you before at the OSW and on the all-hands call, we have purchased Work.com. We have branded it to be called MyWolf, and we are live and in production as of June 2nd. And we're really excited to be bringing this new platform to you. It's a social performance management platform, and it replaces Sonar 6. So those of you who've been through our quarterly cycles are now aware that we'll be on a mid-year and end-of-year review cycle. And what this allows us to do is really, the platform allows us to manage our own performance on a more regular basis and no more surprises at the end of a quarter or at the end of the year, as you can track your own performance throughout the entire year. And so it's easy to navigate. It's built within Salesforce. For many of us who are admins of Salesforce, implement Salesforce, or sell our services, you're already somewhat familiar with the platform already. It's very social in its nature and easy to use, and it will carry a wide range of information that will help you build out your brand. So why did we choose MyWolf? It was one of our 4 must-dos is to create an extraordinary employee experience. And we seem to have mashed up really well with Work.com in the idea that when we looked through our EEPs, it was ingrained in our culture all along that we believe that the people, you, the employees of Blue Wolf, are amazing individuals, highly skilled, intelligent, hardworking, and that if we focused on you and made that one of our key initiatives, it would better improve not only our own culture, but the services that we offer to our clients. So creating an extraordinary employee experience is key to Blue Wolf. By choosing this platform, it enables us as individuals here to thrive and to find out what we do really well, how we can do those things better, and if there's areas of growth or development that we'd like to work on, we can help define those as well. It'll provide us coaching moments where we will build opportunities for you to have a mentorship program here, but also as you perform in your daily activities, you're running a meeting or calling on a client, there's opportunities where other people have observed your behavior and you can ask for feedback around that. We'd love to create a culture of feedback here at Blue Wolf and continue with the reward and recognition that we always give to everyone. I'm going to pass it back over to Jen, who's going to walk you through the tool and show you the features. Thanks, Jen.
Karen. Thank you. Okay, let's talk first just quickly about what's in it for you. So really, what's in it for all of us? Probably our favorite part about MyWolf is truly what it brings to all of us. First and foremost being total transparency and ease of use. And this is great for the review process with your managers. So it's real time. It's now objective. You can have more conversations with your manager about specific feedback and recognition that you'll receive through this new tool. You can show your manager how you are engaging with other PAC members and offering them constructive feedback that helps them to further develop professionally. And also, the transparency is and ease of use is fantastic because you can tie your performance directly to reports in Salesforce to help measure your progress. You can tie your goals to that. Secondly, you personally get recognized for the extraordinary work that you already do day in and day out. And that is all for all of Blue Wolf to see. When you recognize each other now through this new MyWolf tool that we'll be using, it posts in chatter. And so everyone sees all of the fantastic recognition that you get. You, as far as goals are concerned, your goals and your team goals and the company's goals, the tool helps you to clearly understand and define your goals and really measure them with ease. So you'll include your personal EEP goals, for instance, as a part of this. You'll include career goals and performance goals, and you'll be able to help track those easily. You can participate in team goals that your manager or maybe another person on your team might invite you to within the app. You can also figure out how you are making a direct impact, you and your team, on the company's goals. It will all kind of roll up to that. And this will help you prep for one-on-ones with your manager, certainly your mid and end of year performance reviews as well. And then last, and probably the biggest piece to me, is the feedback. You will receive and provide valuable real-time feedback, and this is in a way that we've never been able to do it before. Feedback is really big for our culture at Blue Wolf, and MyWolf will help us ingrain the concept of the gift of feedback into our culture. And we'll talk a little bit more about this when we walk through the system. So this three-phase rollout approach, we're right in the middle of phase one, which launched on June 2nd, and we will be covering the recognition, feedback, and goals components of those. The next phase will be in third quarter, and it will be the performance component of MyWolf. And then phase 3 will be in the fourth quarter, and it will be the coaching component to MyWolf, that will launch our mentorship program with it. So very exciting stuff. Let's go ahead and get into the system because I want to show you how to navigate around. Okay. So just like any other way that you move around within the app, you'll go to the app menu here in the top right corner and drop that down and select MyWolf. So this is going to be really intuitive. And everything that I'm showing you, a lot of it we kind of do today. We just do it maybe in different places and maybe not as efficient or not as 360 of a view. And now with MyWolf, it's all in one place. So the app itself is very intuitive, and I think you'll be able to follow along quite easily as I walk through it. For instance, these tabs up here that are part of the MyWolf app, you can add them to other apps. Like, for instance, over here on this tab, I'm in Blue Track, and let's go to a project I recently was on. I'm in the sandbox, by the way. So here I am on a project. You can add tabs. I've already done so. I've added the profile, recognition, feedback, and goals tabs here on a different app. So it's easy to access and to get back and forth in between the apps. So when you open up the MyWolf app, you default to your profile page, which probably looks familiar. It's your Chatter profile. So MyWolf is integrated into the profile and Chatter pages. You can see here what looks a little different are these sub-tabs. These sub-tabs, for the first couple here, the feed and the overview and the employee phone book tabs, those aren't a part of MyWolf, but they are here for convenient access. The recognition, feedback, and goals sub-tabs are a part of MyWolf, and those sub-tabs here from your profile view are all about you, your recognition, feedback about you, feedback that you've offered to others or received, and your goals. So those sub-tabs are all about you. The navigation tabs are what we're going to review today, which some of them look a little different than the sub-tabs, but they're easy. This will show, I will be able to show you how to actually complete some of the things that you'll want to do in MyWolf through these tabs. So let's start with recognition. Recognition is perfect for our culture. We already do this really well today through different types of efforts. I think we email each other thank yous. We probably de-chat each other, and we also use the thank you chatter group, which, by the way, will be sunsetting because this recognition tool, this recognition piece in MyWolf, where we can send each other badges, it will replace the thank you chatter group. So again, it's a great way to kind of continue this part of our culture and maybe just make it even bigger than it is today. It will, as Karen had mentioned earlier, it helps us to build our own brands, and it reinforces why a PAC member, like all of you, are so valuable to someone else within the organization and to Blue Wolf as a whole. So the recognition piece is really fun and really easy. Before I go to the recognition tab, I want to show you a quick and easy way to send somebody a badge. And we'll walk through what all those badges look like and everything, but I just want to show you this quick ditty because a lot of you may have already seen it and noticed it. But you can see here where you post a chatter, there's a new link here called Thanks. And so anywhere where there's chatter, you will find this link. So if you click on the Thanks link, it opens up and prompts you to indicate the person that you would like to send a badge to. And so unlike Chatter, you don't need to use the @ sign. You can just simply start typing the person's name, and the app finds the person's name, and you select their name. And then here in this section, it automatically takes you down to the description part, where you definitely will want to put in a full description of why you are giving this badge to someone. And here's why, because if you don't, this pretext here that instructs you to type your message here, that is what shows up when the badge posts to Chatter to that person. So you'll definitely want to make sure you fill in this box. And then certainly if you want, you can change this. This is defaulting to the thank you badge, which is one of our many badges that we offer, and we'll walk through that. But to change it, you can either click on it or click the change badge link, and it will pop open our badge library. And these are all of the badges that we have access to, which I'm going to show you each one here in just a moment. So once you've done all that, you simply click this share button and you're done. It's that easy. It posts to Chatter for all to see, and the cool part is that this is integrated with Salesforce. So, for instance, let's say you want to badge someone, maybe they're helping you on a project. We'll just use this project that I'm looking at. They're helping you, and they've done an outstanding, extraordinary job on some aspect of the project that you're on with them. If you open, you can use this Chatter feed right here on the project record itself. Click on Thanks, send out the badge, and then that thank you will be included on this record. It will also be on that person's Chatter feed on the within their recognition in MyWolf, and also within the recognition section in your MyWolf that you had given out a badge. So it's recorded in multiple places, and you can directly relate it to different records within other apps. So that's a very cool piece. Now, one thing I want to point out is whenever you use this thanks link, you can only badge one person at a time. If you want to badge more than one person, then you can go to this recognition tab, and it opens up our badge library. And I don't know why it just moved me over to Blue Track. That's interesting. Okay, here we go. So it opens up the badge library, which is loading now. And to badge someone, all you have to do is click on the badge, and it takes you to the badge page, and then you just give that badge. And so I'll show you that process here as soon as it finishes loading. The important piece about doing at badging someone from the recognition tab is just to make note in your own mind that this is where you can badge more than one person on the same badge. So these are our badges in our badge library that we have access to. And I'm going to show them to you really quickly here. We've got All About Execution, Flawless Delivery, you nailed it. Here's one for the Extraordinary Customer Moment. Great job creating a moment the customer will never forget. You've got your Team Player badge for those people who just jump right in. Success is a team sport. Thanks for playing. Here's that thank you badge that we had seen earlier. That's the default when you're using the thanks link. And then here's your Rockstar badge. Great job, you rocked it. So you would choose the appropriate badge that you want to send out. I'll choose the Rockstar badge. And then you just click Give Badge. When you click on Give Badge, it prompts you to input who you want to thank. And it's here that you can put more than one person. This is helpful, for instance, if maybe you're in sales and someone helped you with a swarm, and you've got 3 or 4 people that you want to that just did an outstanding job during the swarm and really impressed the prospect. You can send them all a badge, the same badge, at the same time by doing it this way. And then here again, you'll want to make sure you type in your message and then just click Share. And that is recognition. It's that simple. So just a note to all of you, these badges were the ones that were identified as being most commonly used. So those are the ones that we're going with. But let's say you have an idea about a badge that you think would be cool for the whole company, or even just for your community. We have identified badge administrators, and there is a badge administrator for each community. So if you have an idea about a badge, you will want to reach out directly to your badge administrator and talk about it and suggest it. The list of badge administrators is found in the tip sheet, which is already out in content in Salesforce. All you have to do is search MyWolf, and you'll find it. There are also some badges here that you will get that you don't see here, and that's because there are also badge administrators for certain types of badging. For instance, Salesforce certification. You will get a Salesforce badge whenever you pass your the various Salesforce exams. So those are all managed by badge administrator Raja Marzug, who is on our global talent management team. Another example is the Pack Gives Back program. Carrie Fugit is responsible for that program, and so she is the badge administrator for the different badges that will come with that program that she can distribute as they are earned. So when it comes to badging, the last thing I want to share is that there are a couple of best practices, and they're pretty simple and easy to remember. And the first is, if you're going to badge someone and recognize them, try to do it immediately. The immediacy and capturing it in the moment is very powerful. So if you're going to send a badge, try and remember to do it as soon as possible. And then also make sure that you are badging for extraordinary things. So let me give you an example of that. You might not badge someone just for attending a meeting, but you might instead send them a badge for maybe a huge contribution that they made during that meeting that created a customer moment. You might not badge someone for completing a deliverable on a project, but you might badge them for getting that same deliverable done in extreme circumstances. Like say the project timeline moved and they had to produce this deliverable faster than usual. So those are just a couple of ideas. So that's all about recognition. Let's move on to feedback. So unlike recognition, which is all over chatter and everybody sees it, feedback is totally private unless you determine otherwise. So this is I want to just reiterate, feedback is private unless you decide it doesn't need to be private. So let me show you here what this feedback tab offers. You can drop down your list view. You can see mine defaults to new requests. And I just want to walk through what each of these mean. So the new requests will be the latest request that you have received from another PAC member asking you to provide feedback to them. So when you get a new request, this is where it will land. Also, new replies. The new replies area are the latest replies to your requests for feedback from others. And that can be about yourself or other people or topics or whatever. But this is where you will find replies to feedback that you request from other PAC members. The section below in the View Feedback About Me is what you would suspect. It's all the feedback that you requested about yourself or that you received from others that was offered. This My Team is viewable for me here in the sandbox because in the sandbox I'm a manager. And so as a manager, you can see your team's feedback that you requested about the team, for instance. So if you're not a manager, this won't appear on your list view. About others, this is feedback that you have requested about another person. And then topics, which I'll talk a little bit in more detail about in just a second, is just simply about topics that you had requested feedback about. And then there's an all feedback view if you choose. So from this tab, you can also create a feedback. So let's talk first about creating a feedback request. I'm going to go ahead and click the plus feedback button, and I want to request feedback. So you're prompted in the request feedback to identify from whom you would like to receive the feedback from. So you would just like I showed you in when you're badging someone, you don't need to use the @ sign here. You can just start typing their name and then selecting them from the options. And then you need to determine what are you asking about. Are you asking about yourself, a person, or a topic? And so asking feedback about yourself, for example, would be, I would love your feedback about how I ran the BPR session today, as an example. Feedback about a person might be, how was your experience working with Betty on the project? And then feedback about a topic is very interesting. Like, for instance, let's say you weren't able to attend OSW. You could send a feedback request and say, hey, can you provide me your feedback about your experience at OSW this year? So that would be an example of a topic. I'm going to click on topic to show you one more option within the topic. You have the option to include a 5-star rating, which is just a quick way for somebody to respond and rate a particular topic or whatever you're bringing to them. So for instance, you might say, from 1 to 5, overall, how do you think the BPR session went today? So it's not asking feedback about how you performed during the BPR or how you ran it or led it, but it's just asking overall, topically speaking, how do you think the BPR session went? Another one might be from 1 to 5, tell me how the marketing event went today that you attended. So it's just a cool way to request insight about a particular topic. So you'll want to make sure, just like when you're badging, to include lots of really good information here in this section when you're requesting feedback. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to do that at another time. I'll share that with you later. And then once you click this Send Request, it sends the person an email. So they are notified that they have a request waiting for them to reply to. Let's talk about offering feedback. So clicking on the feedback button again, I now can click Offer Feedback. And again, I'm prompted to whom I would like to offer feedback. So again, just like before, you don't need the @ sign, you just type their name. And then once you put that person's name in, the next section, the next field fills in for you. So this is really important. You need to determine who should see this feedback that you are offering. And you can offer it, for instance, just to Carrie's manager only, or to both Carrie and her manager. And then you would, again, fill in details. You can offer feedback about a person just to one person at a time. there is a lot more to come on feedback, and I sort of hinted this just a minute ago. We're going to be sending out information about registering for a feedback and goal-setting training session that we're going to do here in the last couple of weeks of June. And during those sessions, we'll expand more on feedback specifically and how to request it, how to provide it, and how to respond to it, or I guess receive it. Because sometimes, you know, for most of us, feedback is a struggle. What to say when you're offering it, or what to say when you're asking for it, for instance, and how to internalize it and process the feedback that you do receive. So we're going to talk all about that because it's so important to our culture. So you'll learn a lot more about that very soon. And that's all about feedback. So next I'm going to move to goals. So goals. From here you can see that you have a list view, and it defaults to My Goals, the goals that you created for yourself. You can also look at key company goals, for instance, which show you the 4 must-dos that Karen referenced earlier today. These are the 4 company must-dos. I'm going to go back to My Goals. You can also show a list view of goals that you've committed to. So I'm going to show you in a moment that you can invite people to goals. So for instance, your manager may create a goal for the whole team and invite the team to participate in that goal. And this list view will show you the goals that you committed to, that you were invited to commit to. The goals I'm invited to list view shows you goals that you have not responded to, that you have been invited to participate in. And then the goals I've declined is a list view of the goals that you opted not to commit to. So if you ever needed to look back at what those were, you have that option. So let's go ahead and create a goal. You're prompted to give your goal a name. And the date that it's due. And then you'll want to put details in here about your goal. As you can tell, I can't type and talk very well. Okay, so once you've got this information in here, you can click Save. I do want to point out here and pause for just a second the difference between performance and personal goals. So when you completed your EEP, for some of you, the goals that you put in your EEP are actually related to your performance in your role today. And that's totally cool. And those would be performance goals as they relate to your role today. Some of you, though, put in your EEP personal goals that help you take one step closer to your aspirations to maybe move into a different role at Blue Wolf. And those would be considered personal goals. So just want to differentiate between the two of those. You have the option of marking a goal private. You might want to do that for your personal goals. I also recommend doing that for your performance goals and then aligning and sharing that with your manager, which I'll talk about here in just a second about alignment. And the reason for that is because when you create a goal today, it will show up in your chatter feed, and those people that follow you can see the goal that you've created. If you mark it private, it does not show up in your chatter feed. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this goal private and save it. It will default to, once I save a goal, once I've created and saved the goal, it will open up the goal record. And I just want to review the different sections here. I'm going to start with alignment. So you can align your goals, and you will want to align your performance goals with your manager's goals. So if you click on this plus sign right here, you're prompted to put in the person's name. See if this one works. Yeah. So I've selected Siley, and you can see that the next field fills based on who I've selected. So it's asking me now to choose a goal that Siley has in her list of goals. And so I'm just going to associate this with work.com public goals. And then you click the Add button, and it shows you that now my goal is aligned with Siley's goal called work.com public goals. Then you click Done. You'll want to align with your direct manager's goals because we're looking for a cascade alignment, I guess, is what I would call that, where we've got company goals and we want to be able to see how those company goals filter through all of management to all employees and then even back up. So the way to do that would be to align directly with your manager's goals. So you'll want to do that for sure. And I mentioned a little bit earlier that you can invite people to goals. So I could invite another person to this goal. I'm going to click on this button right here, invite people to this goal. And I am going to add Karen Freed to this goal and click Add. I'm going to invite her, I should say. So you can see here it says pending. Karen, I've invited her to it, but Karen has to accept that goal. So then I'm going to close. And the moment that Karen accepts that goal, her picture will show up here under the committed section. So I have, at a glance, a quick view of who has committed to this goal that I've invited. Down below is the metrics section. So you definitely want to measure your goals. So you'll click Add Metric, and you're prompted to give your metric a name and the type of metric. So here are your options. You can measure as a percentage, target, actual versus targeted, and then based on simple completion. And so let me give you an example of that. An EEP goal, maybe a personal EEP goal that you will put into MyWolf, may be something that you aren't going to use to measure as a percentage or actual versus targeted, but rather it's just something that you've done. It's something that you've completed. That might be an example of measuring your achievement based on completion. I'm going to choose tracking actual versus targeted as an example, and you're prompted to enter the appropriate initial value, the target value, and then the due date. And then you're asked, how will you update your progress? This is very cool. It integrates with Salesforce. When you click the From a Salesforce Report button, I'm in the sandbox, so none will come up, but all of the reports that you have recently viewed will come up here. So not all reports, but all reports that you've recently viewed. And so a lot of things, we can measure so much in Salesforce. So, you can link to reports that are already out there, or if needed, you can create a report and link it to your goal to assess your progress. And when you're done with all that, you would just click Save. The last piece I want to show you here are the sub-tabs on the goal record itself. You can see that there is a chatter feed here for this goal. We've gone through the details. And then there's an Activities tab. These are tasks and events in Salesforce. And I would recommend that you use these to help you achieve your goals. So let's say maybe one goal in particular is a little slow going and you're struggling. Use this tool to talk with your manager and think through, or your mentor, and think through what are some tasks and events that I can put in place to help me get one step closer to achieving this goal. So it's a very helpful tool to help you get towards success. That is MyWolf, Phase 1. Karen, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know you're probably answering chats right now.
Hi, Jen. Thanks. So I think one of the things that I wanted to add, from a badging, pretty simple. From a feedback, might be apprehensive. We'll talk about, best practices. The goals part, when we created the EEP in the beginning of the year, if you were to look at that document, and it's found inside of Salesforce, the top part of the document is where you currently are in your career path. The middle part was about your aspirations. We asked a little bit about how are we doing as a company. We asked who your proposed mentor was. The EEP was paving the way for MyWolf. And so when we get down to the goals part, you were asked what are your goals going to be, and how will you be measured? Those questions on how you will be measured, you can go back and say, oh, I didn't answer that correctly back then, but now let me really think about it. When you put in a goal here, a goal can be pretty large. Like a goal might be, I want to be, I use this one, but I want to be a Blue Wolf ambassador. Like someone might say, I don't even know what that is. But then when you go under your tasks and you say, hey, that means I'm going to be certified in services and sales, I'm going to get a net promoter score, I'm going to work on this project, or I'm going to sell X, Y, and Z, I'm going to sell 4 blueprints before we go to an engagement, a delivery engagement with them. So you can define a goal of yours that aligns with the corporate goals, and then have these tasks, and that'll help you be managed and measured by how you're performing against that goal. So it's pretty exciting to see how one piece of paper called the EEP and a great conversation with your manager is finding its way and weaving its way into our platform. So these goals should represent the goals that you put at the bottom of your EEP. If they weren't all performance related, they may have been professional development or even personal. Now's the time to add them in, mark them private, and the ones that are performance related align with your manager. So back to you, Jen.
Okay, thanks. So that's MyWolf. Let's get into when to use MyWolf. From a recognition perspective and from a feedback perspective, essentially you're going to want to do these as soon as they happen, because the immediacy is a best practice, right? It's top of mind, it's fresh. So in our culture, we'll be recognizing each other and asking for and providing feedback on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. It covers all, so it's when it happens. From a goals perspective, that's probably going to be maybe more of a weekly or monthly look, depending on what your role is here at the organization. Resources and support in content. Currently, I'm going to start at the bottom. The MyWolf Phase 1 tip sheets are out there. So if you just go to content and search MyWolf, you will see MyWolf tip sheets. The training presentation that we are looking at today and the recording of training will be posted into content tomorrow after the final training session. From a support perspective, we're going to use the org support feedback loop box, which is in the top left corner in our sidebar. And if you experience a technical issue with MyWolf, you'll use the report a bug link. An example of that might be, let's say you're trying to recognize someone and you're putting their name in and you're not finding their name in the search and you can't select their name. That's a technical issue. All other questions or needs for support or insights or coaching or guidance on using MyWolf, you will use the general support link, which comes directly to the Global Talent Management team, and we will respond promptly. So your immediate next steps. By June 20th, we're asking everyone in the company to request at least one feedback from a PAC team member. And as you can imagine, as a result, everyone provide at least one feedback to a PAC team member. So that's by June 20th. By June 30th, we're asking everyone to input their EEP goals into MyWolf, as Karen just was talking about. And then, as soon as you can, you set a weekly reminder for yourself. You know, feedback doesn't necessarily come natural to everyone all the time. And so, as we're integrating more and more the gift of feedback into our culture, you might need to remind yourself that, hey, oh yeah, I need to be providing feedback to my peers or to anyone in Blue Wolf. And so you might pick Feedback Friday or whatever that is, just to mark your calendar as just a weekly reminder, hey, you need to be providing feedback to folks or asking feedback from folks.
Jen, it's Carrie. I just want to interject really quickly. Your display screen is not up to date with where you are in the presentation.
I wonder why. What does it show?
It shows humans crave recognition, that initial quote.
Oh, crud. All right. I'm so sorry. Thank you for
Sorry to interject.
interjecting. No. Feel free. Here it is. So let me go, you'll have a copy of the presentation so that you can see the previous slide, which showed you all of the resources and support and when to use MyWolf. So I apologize for that glitch. That was my bad. User error. So back to immediate next steps. So as soon as you get a chance, you mark your calendar just to remind yourself to give feedback ongoing. And then through the end of June, we're going to have June Throwback Thursdays. And we're encouraging everyone to take Thursday as the day to remind yourself to look back to January or, earlier in the year and different projects that you've worked on and folks that you've interacted with and the extraordinary things that they have done, and start recognizing each other for that and distributing badges.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Can we keep this up for a second just so everyone, by June 20th, you guys can go out now and request some feedback. If you know you're going to be performing something and make it seem like we're all on stage, but in some ways we're in front of our clients, that's a great time to just go out and say, hey, you know what, I'm about to deliver a BPR. I'm about to run a UAT. We're about to do a swarm. Can somebody provide some feedback? Here's what I'm looking for. And then I get that you haven't gone to training yet, but try it. Try it before the 20th so that you know when you come to training what it feels like, and you'd be more apt to ask us questions during the training, because it seems like, it might be easy. But if you ask for feedback, someone will say, gee, your hair looks good, or you didn't Well, I haven't since I was in 7th grade and I took a presentation class. I was more concerned about, were my concepts clear? Was I engaging? Did I use the parking lot correctly? So prep people so that they know what you're asking for, what you're looking for feedback around. That's something you should do right away before you go to class. If someone's asked you for feedback and now you're like, ooh, I don't know how to do that, reach out to somebody in our organization. Reach out to Jen if it's before training, or you can wait to provide them feedback after you've taken training on it and use that as the example. Someone's asked me how they did and how would I approach that. So those are things that you should take a minute to think about. By June 30th, try to put your goals in. You might not put them in correctly. You might put them in incorrectly. You can always go back and edit them. Okay? This is different than the EEP. So put them in. And you will eventually learn how to align them to your managers. So let's try to get you into the system and see if you have questions about that. If you do that before the training, then when you are in the training about creating SMART goals, you might say, oh, you know what? Mine wasn't so smart. Let me change it. So it will be a good practice for you. And then the last thing is Throwback Thursday. If you thanked somebody via email or you use the thank you chatter post, you've recognized someone's great behavior, it's amazing and powerful tool for you to go back right now and thank them. I'm not asking you to go back to February and remind someone that they made a mistake. You don't have to do anything like that. But if you recognize or remember things, go ahead and let them have the badges that they deserved. Just because we rolled it out late in the year doesn't mean they shouldn't have been recognized for it. So we'd appreciate if you guys can help us out with that and get into the feelings of giving out badges. And that's it. I know there's a lot of dates up there, but what we want you to do is try to use the system and come back for training so we can help you. And anything you put in the system to be modified as far as your goals, badges, you're not going to modify those. You're going to give them away, and then that's it. All right? So hopefully everyone has the dates, and Jen's going to be following up with an email to invite you to the specific training on how to give feedback and how to write your goals, to practice in between now and then. Thanks, Jen.
Sure, no problem. So it's a good segue to what's next, and I have no idea what happened with this, so I'm just going to... This is all backward. Whoops. Okay. So, sorry to overwhelm you with all this text. I meant to animate it the right way, and I don't know how that got messed up. But Far left, My Wolf feedback and goal setting training is coming to you. It really is very important for phase 2. You will learn how to set goals, and you will learn about the expectations about feedback in our culture, how to request it, provide it, receive it, everything that Karen was just talking about. And that will be in the last couple of weeks of June. We'll have manager and employee sessions, and we'll be sending out an email with links to register. And it's about a 45 to 60-minute course. My Wolf Phase 2, that's the performance piece that will be coming out, and that's in Q3. And just as Karen was indicating, what you do now during this Phase 1, like badging and getting your goals in, that's all dependent on what will need to be done for Phase 2 for the performance piece. And this is just, the performance piece is really a fantastic view of your performance, not just, a week before your mid-year review or at the end of the year, 2 weeks before you do your end-year review. It's everything that's been collected in the system, all the feedback, all the recognition. That's why this tool is so fantastic. So it's not just what happens right at mid-year. It's what's been happening up to mid-year. And then Phase 3 will be the coaching element that we'll launch in Q4. That is when we're going to launch the mentorship program. And the coaching element captures notes and events and tasks, and it synchronizes with feedback and all this cool stuff, which you will get more information about. So just a quick recap. We've talked about what is My Wolf, why we chose My Wolf, and what's in it for you. We talked about the 3 phases and the timing of that, how to navigate the 3 elements of Phase 1, which is recognition, feedback, and goals, when to use My Wolf. We've talked about the resources and support that you have access to, and what you need to do immediately, and your immediate next steps for Phase 1, and then what's coming up next. So, Karen, you have been busy with probably answering lots of chats. Are there any that we want to talk through out loud here?
Sure. Thanks. Thought some music would make it better. Okay. Let's see. Sorry. So many screens, so many screens. Thank you, everybody, for being interactive with the questions. I think I texted most of them out there. So there was a question about, are there expectations for adopting your goals, and how frequent should we be updating goals? So as we roll out this goal, we realize that this is new to us. We were, in the past, just given our goals from Sonar 6, and now we're asking you to create your own goals. I want to paint a little bit of a vision for that. Last fall, as an organization, we got together, and that's how we came up with the 4 must-dos. And we went ahead and we told people that we have the 4 must-dos. We talked about them on our all-hands call. But we really never, the one tie that we try to make was in the EEP that says, hey, what are you doing? Well, if you're doing something, you should probably tie it to a corporate initiative. But from an individual's perspective, you as a person who shows up to work every day, the things that you do, there's probably a couple of steps in between what you actually do and how that pushes or touches or relates to the plan on the page, right? Everyone could say, all right, I guess I'm going to sell the journey or diversify. So what our plan is, and we've gone through this with the management team, next week we'll be setting out the mid-tier goals that kind of will help set the stage. So your manager will have a set of goals, and then your performance goals can align to those probably a lot easier. For instance, I'll go through my teams. It is an extraordinary employee experience. That's pretty big. So my goal was to roll out a social performance tool, and it involved many different aspects. Jen would align to that goal. That makes sense. Like, it's work.com makes sense for her. That's part of the employee experience. Creating a newer onboarding experience. All right, that helps break that out. And then Jen's goal is to help define it, roll it out. Those are her goals behind it. So you'll see, if you're in sales, what those specific ones are, and if you're in delivery and beyond, you'll see what those are. If you're in marketing services, you'll have a whole different set of goals that you'll be working towards. And you'll work with your manager to help create them, And if we don't get it right now, it's okay. We're trying it out as an entire organization together. But we do realize the importance of you having your own performance goals and how those can align to our organization. So as we get better at this, you'll be meeting with your manager. You could talk to them about it. You can see how you're moving along on those, and you can modify them as needed. So we put the goals in your hands this time versus in Sonar 6, they were laid out for you, and we only reviewed them during the quarter, at the quarter's end, and that may have been a surprise to some or reality for others, and now we're able to review them and make it real time. And the performance part is just the byproduct of all the information that you've put in, the recognition, the feedback, the goals, and how you're measuring to them. And at the end of the year, you'll just be having a conversation like as if it was any other conversation with your manager. So that was a question on how often do you need to review your goals. Believe it or not, wow, that was long. Jen, I'm not sure that there was anything else. There was a question about the sub-tabs. That sub-tab means that it's everything to do with you, it's your goals, your recognition, your badges. And that was it.
Okay.
Did I scare you, Jen?
No, you did not. No, this is good. I'm just wondering, I want those of you participating today to feel comfortable. I know we've just got about 6 minutes left. I want you to feel comfortable to ask any questions that you have right now in chat. I know we've got a lot of people on the line, which is why all the lines are muted. So if you, I'm going to give you just a couple of, I'm going to talk a lot right now and give you a minute to think that through and see if you have any other questions. And just remember, too, that this tool is, you can ask, if you have any questions at all and you need to, please feel free to reach out to me. And then, we've got the process of clicking through, a general question, general item to report, and that comes to our team as well, so that's another way that you can reach out to us. The tool itself, the thing that I love about this is that I feel like I'm always scrambling to try and remember every time I'm going through a performance review. I'm trying to remember what happened, right? Because everything goes so fast and there's so much happening. We're so busy. I love this tool because as long as I take just a couple of seconds, maybe in and out of every day or every other day throughout a week or at the end of my week, it's my recap place. It's my place to ask for feedback and hopefully get that feedback from someone. And then that way, when it comes to my mid-year or end-of-year review, I'm not scrambling to ask people to give me feedback. I will have asked it in the moment while it's fresh so that they could respond in a way that would help me to further develop professionally. So it's not a tool that you just visit twice a year. It's a tool that you can use throughout your week, every week. And I don't think any other questions came in. So with that, we're going to give you 4 minutes back to your day. I appreciate everybody taking time out of your busy schedules, and go and have fun. Use MyWolf.